Nikke Goddess of Victory has a story that just keeps besting itself over and over again. This is video number 6 in a series meant to appeal to veterans and newcomers alike. We'll be blazing through the story at an accelerated pace, with a spoiler section at the end for diving into the juicier details. Dai-chan will let you know when we switch over. Last we left off, the commander was able to save Marian, but at a cost. She's no longer corrupted by the raptures, but she's also been reduced to an infantile state with little to no memories. Luckily, she's a fast learner, and it's not long until she's helping us fight on the surface. However, the more raptures we defeat, the more it seems like Marian starts to question what we're doing. She sympathizes with them, even stroking one's core as it dies. In all fairness, the raptures are still a total mystery. They're our enemies, sure, but we can't really explain why they attack us. When Anderson learns of Marian's compassion, he worries she may eventually choose raptures over humanity. Given his experience with corrupted Nikkes, he's not very optimistic. If only he were our biggest concern. Ingrid warns us that members in the central government may be planning to apprehend Marian. There are many who feel the commander is overstepping his bounds, taking charge of such an unknown variable. They would much rather dissect her to improve the Ark's technology. Meanwhile, the ex-heretic is too busy covering herself in flour as an excuse to take more showers. Our delightfully fun yet stressful times come to a screeching halt when the outpost falls under attack from Triangle, the Ark's counter-terrorism squad. Privity, Yulha, and Admi demand we hand Marian over. Rapi won't tolerate this, firing a suppression bullet right past Privity's ear. The government lapdog stands her ground, but is clearly shaken. Nevertheless, she and her squad are under orders from a deputy chief, someone with similar rank to Anderson. Unable to endure a drawn-out confrontation with the central government, the counters opt to flee to the surface. Our goal is to contact Anderson for support, but Triangle is jamming our communications. Rapi suspects there's more than one squad trying to apprehend our precious new party member. Marian wonders why we don't just fight back, but Rapi wants to teach her about diplomacy. If only it were that simple. We reach a radio tower on the surface, hoping to use it to enhance our comms system. It seems someone anticipated this. Planting explosives in the building is a trap. Not only do bombs activate inside the building, but it appears someone has laid traps even after we entered as well, effectively sealing us inside. Marian naively ignores the threat of further traps, opening a box of bandages that turns out to be another bomb. Rapi orders her to stay put until we can disarm it. Refusing to let that happen, though, someone new holds a gun to the back of the commander's head. 2 Nikkes from the squad Perilous Siege emerge from the shadows, threatening to kill us all if we don't comply. Unlike other Nikkes, these two aren't joking around and can very well pull the trigger. You see, Perilous Siege is yet another Black Ops unit belonging to Elysian. This squad's members are granted permission to kill their targets, whether they be human or Nikke. The squad's leader goes only by her codename, D. She's a merciless assassin who loyally follows the directive of her superiors, known cryptically as the Judges. To that end, she considers her killings judgments on those who threaten the Ark's peace. She almost never lets her emotions shine through, unless deliberately acting undercover. I suppose Dee's orders sometimes conflict with her own personal judgment, forcing her to ponder the true meaning of justice. For as much as she respects the commander, there are times when she must sincerely evaluate his righteousness. In other words, she refuses to kill someone until she's thoroughly investigated and confirmed their wickedness. Her own judgments will be investigated by her colleagues, and if they deem that she's been abusing her authority to act on emotion or a grudge, she is to take her own life as penance. Thus, Dee thoroughly inspects every aspect of the commander's life and finds him innocent. Fortunately, Dee's order is rescinded, but she wants to know who sent her the order in the first place. She tracks down Judge 4 and learns he used to be a failure of a commander with a motive to eliminate us out of envy. With the autonomy granted to her by Judge 10, she delivers judgment to 4 with her axe. Dee is devoted to the burdensome duty of judging the Ark's corrupt humans. Despite all her bloodshed, I can safely say that she barely scratches the surface of that corruption. Ultimately, Dee and the commander form a partnership to make their world better. She can snuff out evil, while the commander delivers goodness. Occasionally, Dee and the commander will investigate a target together, during which the two of them will pretend to be a newlywed couple. This pretense, when done enough, has them wanting to convey their real feelings beyond the act. Their undercover training becomes an excuse for them to get together. While the Bond story of Dee, killer wife, has them going to a hotel together, not once are they confirmed to get raunchy. She narrowly dodges the naughty list, even though it's quite likely that they'll smash sooner or later. It's certainly funny seeing all the other Nikke get jealous when Dee goes around declaring herself the commander's spouse. Dee is great about keeping her emotions in check. The same can't be said for her squad mate, Kay, who often handles investigations solo. She has a short temper and gains pleasure from tormenting her victims. However, this only applies to those she legitimately deems evil. Her strong sense of justice won't allow her to harm someone whose good deeds outweigh the bad. This means she's willing to forgive and spare criminals so long as they've redeemed themselves. Ironically, this leniency is coupled with a disdain for humans and herself. Her loathing has devolved into self-harm and a deliberate erasure of her memories. She can't tell if these feelings come from her as a Nikke or her previous life. It certainly doesn't help that Kay lacks any hobbies, interests, or preferences outside of work. She literally spends all her free time lounging around in a chair silently, occasionally taking a break to munch an energy bar. Determined to show her that there's much more to life, the commander places a judgment on her former self, insisting she expand her understanding of relaxation. This has her laying in a comfy bed, eating delicious snacks, and reading comic books. Kay certainly enjoys these activities, but has some instinctive aversion to them, like she doesn't want to be happy. In the end, he's not able to change her perspective or demeanor, but after visiting a hot spring together, she appreciates his consideration and repays the favor by hugging him tightly from behind. They might be naked in the bath, but I consider this wholesome and non-sexual. She no doubt deserves love, but I wish that love would start from within. Of course, those are all things that may come to pass. It's a shame our first encounter with Perilous Siege isn't so pleasant. They want us to hand over Marian, but there's just one issue. She's still holding a live explosive. Promising to protect us, Marian crushes the bomb in her hands, setting it off before somehow absorbing the blast into her body. This steals everyone's attention. Marian discovers she's not able to pull the trigger on her fellow Nikkes, so she instead just clobbers Perilous Siege barehanded, allowing counters the chance to escape. Just outside the building, however, we find Privity leading a full-on army of mass-produced Nikkes, justifying her intervention on charges that Marian may be conspiring with raptures. She tries to gain the commander's cooperation by assuring Marian will be taken into protective custody. Admi, however, states the truth. The government wants to dissect her, just as we feared. By studying her unique structure, the Ark hopes to accelerate its technology by 100 years. Naturally, we refuse to comply, provoking an all-out war. These Nikkes are authorized to shoot and kill even the commander. Before things escalate, though, Shifty suddenly intercepts our comms and orders everyone to stand down. Anderson has finally reached us, declaring that the instigator behind this whole mess is his colleague, Deputy Chief Burningum. This stuttering fuck thought he could take matters into his own hands, ordering Elysian's covert squads to act on behalf of his own paranoia. Anderson has convinced him to back down. By that, I mean Anderson beat the shit out of him, deservedly so. Not sure if that's according to code, but it certainly helps us out. I suppose Burningum has the Ark's best interests in mind, but it's an extreme, premature measure. Given that Marian no longer poses a threat, she may prove to be a valuable ally, helping us in combat far more than if she were a research subject. To try and make such an important decision on his own is pure hubris. Well, Anderson forced Burningum to rescind his orders this time, but there's no guarantee other deputy chiefs or someone higher up won't share his sentiment. In Marian's favor, she's all sorts of capable. She explains how she instinctively felt she could absorb that bomb earlier, as though it were second nature. If anything, she's confused why she couldn't shoot at other Nikkes. I'm confused by that too, actually. Wasn't the whole point that Marian's brain no longer has any nymph? By extension, that should mean she doesn't have any inhibitors. I guess it's possible they put some more nymph back into her brain after wiping it clean, but I haven't been able to confirm that officially. If you happen to find that exact detail somewhere, please let me know, and I'll convey what I learn. Regardless of Marian's enigmatic powers, one thing's for sure, enemies in the Ark won't stop coming for her. Proving this point, the counters arrive at their dormitory to find it totally trashed. Ingrid arrives shortly after, admitting that there were sightings of heavenly ascension in the outpost. It appears Burningum's loose lips have leaked rumors of Marian's value, and word is spread even to terrorists in the Outer Rim. Neither Ingrid nor Anderson can protect us from the many forces encroaching on us. As such, she insists the commander find some solution that doesn't involve handing Marian over to the government. After another 13 attacks over the span of 5 days, the commander is forced to make a harsh decision. Reluctantly, he pulls out his phone and makes a call to Snow White. Up on the surface, we arrange to have Marian adopted by Snow and her pilgrim allies from the Pioneer Squad. This doesn't go well, with Marian begging us not to abandon her and promising to behave. All the commander can do to ease her sorrow is redo her bandages and vow to come back for her when he's strong enough to keep her safe. Traumatized, Marian's body starts emanating more of that black aura, forcing Snow White and her partners, Rapunzel and Scarlet, to help smother the darkness and light. Rapunzel happens to be a healer. Marian's aura fades along with her consciousness. Even though this parting breaks everyone's hearts, Snow White intends to honor the commander's request, in part because she allowed Chatterbox to escape. We trust in her conviction, knowing that Marian will be safer with Pioneer than with counters. Before long, the pilgrims disappear into the surrounding fog. When Privity starts snooping about our activities on the surface, we lie and say the pilgrims kidnapped Marian. She obviously doesn't buy our excuse, yet asks us to wish Marian well all the same. This is one case where the tsundere is torn between her feelings and her orders. It certainly won't be the last time. The counters start cleaning up their trashed living space, but the commander is given special instructions by Anderson. Our situation sucks, but Anderson thinks we did the right thing. More importantly, though, our actions have totally baffled Enikk, the Ark's central AI system. She wants to meet the commander in person, curious about what led to our decision. We visit the AI and explain to her why, even though Marian's dissection could have aided the Ark's technology, that doesn't mean Marian's well-being should have been cast aside. I'm not sure if I mentioned this outside of spoiler sections, but Enikk is not a Nikke. She has an artificial body, but not an organic brain. Despite her programming, though, it seems she's starting to develop more human-like thoughts and actively wants to better understand us. In particular, she wonders if the commander would consider her a genuine, living person. As thanks for an honest answer, she's willing to answer one of our questions. Sure enough, at the top of our list is one thing: who's the son of a bitch mole working with Chatterbox? Extending her own honesty, she bluntly reveals that she is the mole, though it's not as nefarious as that sounds. Long story short, the Raptures have known about the Ark's location for a long time. They don't attack the Ark because they don't need to, not while they reign over the surface. Chatterbox, however, wanted to threaten the Ark and extort Enikk for sacrificial Nikkes. Calculating our odds of defeating the Raptures as 0%, she chose to comply with Chatterbox's demands, and would intentionally corrupt Nikkes before sending them up to the surface. Now that Chatterbox is dead, though, that shouldn't be an issue anymore. That said, Enikk is hella impressed by what the commanders achieved in such a short time. Ignoring her calculations, she chooses to bet that the commander may well be the key to humankind's victory. This doesn't come with any particular rights or stipulations. Basically, she wants us to keep doing what we've been doing, as it's showing results, and she's not exactly sure why we're succeeding in the first place. Back during our fight with Modernia, the commander and his Nikkes were so occupied with their survival that they completely forgot to recover the Vaphaus bullet she spat out. Well, Syuen was paying attention to the operation, ordering her subordinate Rion to retrieve it. Finally, she has what she's been after, and plans to use the bullet to cure Matisse's corruption. It's not a bad idea, actually. I hope you're intrigued by Snow White and her buddies, because we'll be spending a long time with them going forward. This is the perfect opportunity for us to introduce Pioneer and explore their extensive backstory, which is over 100 years in the making. The goal here is to establish a chronological timeline of events spanning multiple important side events. First, however, let's see how Marian gets along with her new family. In the side story, Second Affection, she and the Pioneer Squad set out on a journey. As expected, Marian throws a fit about being separated from the commander. She cries herself to sleep, forcing Rapunzel to carry her. The poor girl struggles to understand that by staying with the commander, she's putting both of them in danger. She needs to trust that, one day, he'll come back for her. The members of Pioneer take Marian on a 2-week trek to somewhere they consider a safe place, the kingdom of Crown and her squire Chime. These two Nikkes, the White Knights Squad, protect a space on the surface hidden from most raptures. Along the way, Snow White tries teaching Marian the ways of a pilgrim, but has to take baby steps. Marian is used to sleeping at night, even though she doesn't have to. Even though that's not how the pilgrims operate, forcing her to stay awake may result in a mind switch, so everyone chooses to camp out. Rapunzel even sources some blankets from an abandoned village. Marian's never had fish before, and observes as Scarlet catches them dinner. Scarlet stresses the importance of focusing on the good parts of life, encouraging Marian to imagine the day she reunites with the commander, as well as striving to create new good things. Marian has a go at fishing, and catches a real feast that has Snow White drooling with anticipation. When they all sit down to eat, however, they notice how much Marian loves the food. They surrender their portions to her, which really means something coming from Snow White. Now, while the pilgrims want to keep Marian, they're unable to offer a steady home. They're always on the move, and scarcely travel as a team. For the next 2 weeks, however, they unite to teach Marian everything they can, knowing life is only going to get harder. Scarlet, who's obsessed with drinking, introduces Marian to the wonders of booze, and Rapunzel shows her dirty magazines. Snow White indoctrinates Marian into eating whatever she can find on the surface, even sawdust and insects. Their collective influence turns Marian into an inebriated monster. It's both endearing and horrifying. While Marian suffers from a hangover, Snow White takes over the last leg of their journey. At the Crown Kingdom, Chime comes to greet them and is promptly thrown up on. Marian is still asleep when Snow White leaves without saying goodbye. She does, however, give Crown some vials of low-concentrated Vaphaus, just in case Marian's nanomachines act up and emit a black aura. Marian wakes up feeling depressed and abandoned. She neither eats nor speaks. Nevertheless, Crown exercises patience, gracefully sipping her tea near Marian without saying a word. This goes on for days at a time, until Marian stops crying at night and even begins to ask questions. She doesn't understand why Crown would tolerate her, especially when everyone else keeps passing her off. Crown assures Marian that, like it or not, she's now a beloved subject of the kingdom. As such, Crown will endeavor to grant her every wish. Testing the limit of this confession, Marian begs to go back to the Ark. Even though this is a bad idea, Crown and Chime still take her in that direction, riding under the moonlight atop their mechanical horse, Throm. Convinced of their sincerity, Marian eventually wisens up and asks to return to the kingdom. She understands why the commander sent her away. She just misses him. Overall, Marian makes a great addition to the kingdom, while at the same time introducing some quirks she picked up along the way. Chime often cooks meals for Crown, and now by extension, Marian. However, Marian insists on downing alcohol with dinner, whipping out a bottle Scarlet gave her. To accompany her food, she plops down some grub worms, insisting they're delicious and also rather scandalous, given what she's seen from Rapunzel's books. Can the kingdom truly tolerate Marian's drunk antics, insect dinners, and adult films, though? Let's just say Crown only pretends to eat on the days Marian cooks. Now, Crown happens to have a condition where high concentrations of alpha particles makes her feel ill. To protect her new family, Marian goes out at night to hunt raptures. It seems the kingdom's walls are getting worse at deterring rapture attention. Eventually, Crown and Chime figure out what she's been doing and come to help. Turns out, they all want to protect each other. Realizing she's made so many friends, Marian's body begins to transform. It's like she's evolved. Okay, this last part won't make any sense until later, but after some time, Chime reports seeing a massive explosion in the direction of the Ark. She and Crown insist on checking it out, and Marian exerts enough self-control to volunteer staying behind to monitor the kingdom in their absence. It shows just how much she's grown, confident that the commander will return to her on his terms. To wrap up my section, know that our next episode will feature Scarlet's introductory event, New Year Sword. As far as I'm aware, it's the furthest point back on Nikke's timeline. I've held off on discussing the pilgrims in depth, because we're about to get all the info we need through these amazing optional stories.
Hey guys, Dai-chan here, which means it's time for some juicy spoilers. So, not long after getting Marian as a precious ally, bastards at the central government chose to step in and ruin it. I don't think anyone there has any idea that Marian carries the potential of becoming the next Rapture Queen. Still, I think her transformation in this section signifies her desire for love and peace among the world's residents. Her body reflects the change in her persona, though I'll admit I kinda prefer the previous design. Also, her ability to absorb incoming attacks, like that explosion from earlier, comes in clutch much later. I find it interesting that Enikk, despite playing such a huge role in the arc, seems oblivious or unattached to some of its darker secrets. It makes me wonder just how much she knows about. Is she aware of the commander's past? Does she know about the giant Rapture Core and the involvement of Deep? Either she's in on all of it, or the nefarious side of the arc has been taking advantage of her ignorance. To me, it kind of feels like she's being used. Then again, for all I know, she's hiding a huge secret herself, like being the true identity of Sixo. Wouldn't that be crazy? After all this time, there's still some very ominous secrets about the Ark just waiting to be revealed. There's some secret society whose members obey a supreme commander. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this society winds up being the game's true antagonist. Only time will tell, though. Moving on from wild fan theories, I want to quickly preface the role White Knights plays in this story. You see, back before the Ark had developed Splendiman, its all-purpose food supply, humanity experimented in the creation of a different superfood. It's a type of grain that grows rapidly and can be replanted in the same soil indefinitely. There's not much use for such a thing at the moment, but if humankind were to finally claim enough of the surface, this food would be a revolutionary discovery. The Crown Kingdom isn't the most strategic location, but it happens to be guarding the superfood seeds in cryogenic stasis. Believing it to be a critical part of our future, the White Knights guard this area, believing it'll usher in a new era of prosperity. We'll return to this topic with the Last Kingdom event. I know this release is a bit shorter than the last, but I wouldn't let that get you down. The easier any given video is for me, the sooner I can start on the next one. It all depends on when there's a good stopping point. All I ask from you is your viewership, and to possibly consider signing up as a channel member through YouTube or Patreon. As usual, you can find this entire series in an official playlist on my homepage or after the credits. Until next time, celebrate your fandom.
I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters. Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Mystic Samurai 1983, Otaku Mom, Freebrick, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Saul Soto, Major, Matal Mataru, Winter's Edge, Sneer Cachette, Sunbro Torian, Foxbox, Alzinga Falgon, Caitlin P, Sith Lord 906, Vladimir Rovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X77, and Alistair Bernadotte. Thank you all so much.